Well, good morning, Northshore Cabinet. It's April 1st. In some quarters, it would be April Fool's Day, but here in Northshore, of course, we're busy at work and supporting our Northshore Learns version 2.0. So let's start off as we do each morning with a report from each of our regional assistant superintendents. And let's start in the north this morning. Obadiah, how are things in the north?
Morning. Things are going great in the north. The opportunity to talk with some of the staff at Fernwood yesterday and hear about their kind of first couple of days going back to learning. Ms. Bradshaw, the principal there, shared that staff have been really taking a team approach, and she's proud of the work that they're doing as teams to make sure learning is consistent for students across the grade levels. And I also talked to Mrs. O'Keefe, one of the second grade teachers there yesterday, and she shared a video that she'd done with a group of her students. And in the video, students were doing mountains and valleys about their emotions, and mountains were things like training their cats and getting to eat pancakes, and valleys was pretty consistently just missing each other and excited to see each other on Zoom feeds. So things are well in the north.
Thanks, Obadiah. I appreciate that. I didn't know you could train cats, actually. I've never had a cat that appeared to welcome that. I will also say that there are some ambitious Fernwood fifth graders who are looking for some alternatives to camp this spring. So I know they're working on an idea for possibly having a virtual outdoor camp. So more to come on that topic, but thanks, Obadiah. Heather, how about the South region? What's going on in the South?
Similar stories, inspirational stories about teachers connecting with students and the creative ideas that they're doing as far as connecting with the kids and providing a learning space. I spoke with Principal Riley from Kenmore Elementary yesterday, and they were about to embark on a Zoom meeting for parents in the Kenmore community to Zoom in and to ask questions and to just provide feedback about how things were going. And I'll have a chance to follow up with her this morning after we're done with our morning broadcast.
Thank you, Heather. And that's a great idea. I think the better and the more often we can stay connected, the stronger our community is. So fabulous idea. Thank Principal Riley. And that's innovative. So David, how about the West?
Yeah, the same in the West. I continue to be impressed with the teachers' problem-solving abilities in this unusual circumstance. I know a couple of weeks ago, our middle school was wrestling with how we do National History Day, which involves student presentations, large boards, a lot of work that they wanted to make sure that we're presented well. And they've solved that problem and figured out how to have both local and regional competitions. So I understand the results are embargoed, so I can't share them at this time, but it's just a level of problem solving that people are doing across the district that's pretty remarkable.
That's fabulous, David. I know that National History Day is such an important part of our project-based work that we do here in Northshore. So thank you for sharing that. Michael, how about the East?
Very similar in the East. The second day of Northshore Learns 2.0 went very well, with a few scheduling issues to work through. But I mean, the administrators and teachers are working together, collaborating, making sure we're meeting the needs of our students. They're also continuing to reach out to each student and their families to determine if there are other needs of it, social emotional needs, such as meals and daycare programming and things like that. So as was mentioned, I also have a couple of schools that are setting up Zoom meeting for families to connect with the school and make sure that we are sharing all the resources and supports that we can.
Well, that's fabulous, Michael. Great hearing from each region. And I know students and staff are so engaged in teaching and learning, and even in this new paradigm. So thank you, all four of you, for supporting that really important work right now. Tracy Patterson, how about nutrition services and an update on our food distribution and prep sites?
Sure. So this morning we've opened one additional site at Frank Love Elementary School. So now we have a total of 8 meal prep sites going. Yesterday we had a total of about 2,960 meals that were ordered, and today as of 7:30 there were 2,500. So those numbers are going to continue to climb. And the team is planning right now for spring break meal prep and distribution. So we plan to continue with our nutrition service during our spring break time.
All right, thanks, Tracy. I appreciate the fact that we have more more numerous food prep sites, so that if somebody does get exposed to the COVID-19, that we have other sites that can pick up, hopefully, the prep work. So thanks so much for that update.
You're
Joe,
welcome.
yeah, Joe, how about transportation and operations? And I do want to say, Joe, you got a shout out on Twitter. One of your former students at the University of Washington recognized you as you accepted our really generous donation. I'd like you to talk for a minute about that this morning as well. But I thought, wow, somebody was excited to see Dr. Joe Paperman. So well done.
Yes, thanks. It was great to get the donation from the Chinese American Civic Association, and then also sort of side donation from some of the families that were involved in that. I think we had about 1,200, 1,300 masks. We had gloves. We had hand sanitizer. So it was really great to get that donation in. We very much appreciate all they're doing for us. Today, custodians and bus drivers mostly working to support our food service workers. So we got out personal protective equipment, masks and gloves to the additional site. We also restocked our sites that were existing to make sure we had enough, excuse me, to get us through the April 24th current reopening date or closure period that we have from the state. So making sure we're up to speed there. The other issue we've got is construction. We continue to get sort of conflicting guidelines from the state. We've gotten some guidance from the governor, and then OSBI yesterday, we got some guidance in that subcontractors had gotten from another government agency about whether or not construction was allowed to continue on our sites. And currently, as far as we can tell, the guidance is that we can continue as long as they're doing proper social distancing. So we do have construction going on our sites. We've got our contractors providing us with their COVID-19 plans so that we can make sure that they're keeping the sites safe and that they're working safely. Probably the major concern we have is on materials that, we have a couple construction projects that are pretty tight on deadlines, especially Innovation Lab High School. And if we get, say our drywall supplier refuses to deliver drywall because of social distancing, that could knock us off schedule on a couple of those construction projects. That's a concern.
Absolutely. Although I have to say again, number one overriding consideration is health and safety. And I know you agree. We're just gonna have to be flexible, I think, as an organization, and recognize that these are our colleagues who are gonna hopefully support construction for us many years into the future.
Yep.
Also want to mention, I appreciate your work collecting gowns. I received a request from the emergency medical staff at Overlake that really what they're in short supply of are gowns, not so much the masks. So do you have an update on that, Joe?
Yeah, so I haven't gotten an update yet this morning. I know our security group was sort of connecting with schools to find out where we actually did have gowns, and we found that our nursing staff had gowns in some of the schools, so they'll be collecting the gowns. Still checking on a couple of the programs that we think might have gowns that they use as part of their supply, our nursing student program, et cetera, but we're trying to get what we can to get it to the healthcare workers.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Joe, and I know they do too. I was talking to Dr. Nordland yesterday morning, so yeah. So let's move to Obadiah, the student support sites and childcare. Where are we now, Obadiah?
Morning. I know yesterday, Dr. Reed, you asked for some stats, so we've brought back some stats for you. Really, yesterday you were wondering about kind of essential personnel and how many we're serving, and so just a couple of high-level stats. At both Champions and the YMCA have about 25 essential personnel children at their child care centers. We have had, since we reopened our survey on March 16th, we have had 42 essential personnel indicate that they need childcare, and we've been able to serve. 16 of those children have come in since March 23rd. And we're helping with Everett Health, or Everett Clinics, Evergreen Health, UW Medical, and Swedish all have children in our childcare systems.
Wow. I really appreciate that update, Obadiah. And I know since we've had openings, we are also serving some children from other school districts And it's really that time, right, for everyone to pitch in and support our region. So thanks so much. And thanks again, YMCA and Champions. It's fabulous to have partners in times like this. So Lisa, how about communications? Thanks, Obadiah.
We are just supporting other departments at this point, and some of our team is planning a couple of district-wide virtual events. We'll have more on one of them later today, and then another one on Friday. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, thanks to your department for getting out my student messages. I know we sent out a message to all elementary students and then all secondary students yesterday, so I appreciate your team. I know we were working late last night to get those out. Alan, how about technology? Where are we? And it looks like, I guess it's Everett High School behind you.
That's right.
Very clever.
Yep. We're just doing the same old stuff in technology today. Having a lot of Zoom sessions for teachers, training them on new materials, and also taking phone calls from staff and parents and just kind of helping keep things running.
Well, that's fabulous. I have some new dog treats that I tried. I found in the cupboard. So we'll see how long that lasts. Business continuity, Tracy Patterson. Do you want to pick that topic up, as Michael's last day was yesterday as he retired?
Right.
So yeah, do you have any updates for us on business continuity?
Well, I can tell you that staff are working remotely, continue to work remotely, and they're finding innovative ways to get their work done. As mentioned yesterday by Michael, we've been implementing additional electronic processes that are replacing manual processes, which we're finding to be, in many cases, more efficient way of doing our work. So I can see how these processes will continue once we return to the building and do our work in the building. Staff remain positive, motivated, and committed to getting the work done and to keeping business continuity going. We meet every afternoon and discuss issues and concerns and problem solve together to work through those things. So far, so good.
Well, that's great. It's really critical, obviously, that our business continues even amidst this pandemic. So Doug Hale, where are we? Any updates from Human Resources?
Nothing hugely to update. We're still working on a few things in trying to get the leave information accurate, and we want to be really thoughtful about staffing, and got some new information just this morning that we're going to need to talk about as a group, so that we can be really responsible with how we roll out our staffing this year.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Doug. And I know we're also working with several of our labor groups around working during spring break, because we do need to continue our food service. The governor and state superintendent of public instruction have asked that we find ways to continue providing meals. And as spring break is a committed calendar item for all of our associations, we're having to do some work around to try to make sure we can ensure meals continue to be provided. So I appreciate your work in supporting, those conversations.
Yeah, and I was forwarded a MOU between Northshore and the food service group. I don't think it's been signed yet. I don't work directly with that group, but it shows that there's conversations ongoing about what we would need to do to continue serving lunches during spring break.
Right. And I know it's not unique to North Shore. Districts all around us and throughout the region have spring break either this week, next week, or the following week. So those calendar commitments are kept, and we'll need to work to mitigate those, at least within food service at this point. So thanks, Doug. Professional development, Tracy Malloy, where are we with any topics related to North Shore Learns and professional development at this time?
Yeah, so yesterday had a great meeting with you and with Dr. Gehring in preparation for our administrative team meeting that's happening tomorrow morning. We're going to meet virtually, and Dr. Gehring's very excited to work with us to share some data that will help us continue with our data-informed decision-making, which is a part of our strategic plan. We also have an activity planned for everyone as they enter our virtual learning space tomorrow. So thanks to Joseph Robertson and Bethel Santos for putting together a Padlet that we will be using as we engage in the morning. And then also thank you to Dr. Bigelow, his team, Ava Thomas and Rana Harb. They are working on also providing us with some information and strategies for how to continue to look at our distance learning model through an equity lens, so that we are thinking about ways that we can ensure that all students feel engaged and safe and positive in the learning environment. I also had a great meeting with a couple of principals around professional development for our entire system. So Geetha George Shapiro and Sarah White were really just very thoughtful about how we can develop a common set of resources that are free resources for all of our staff. They range from free classes from offered by Harvard and MIT all the way through free courses on wellness from Kaiser Permanente. So we'll have a resource page that will be available to everybody. Also, there's plans to conduct a survey that we can send out to our staff groups so that we can find out how we can meet their needs better through professional learning opportunities. And then I also had another group of people, Kathy Davis, Adra Davey, Ebony Harvey, Shelby Reynolds. They were all wondering about this Universal Design for Learning, which is also known as UDL. And they've stepped up to say, hey, we'll help do some planning around that topic for our teachers and for our principals. So those plans are well in place, and I'm looking forward to being able to share more as we bring back kids after our spring break, and our teachers as well, and our staff as well. Also had a great productive meeting with Doug Hale and with Tyson, I'm going to forget his last name, Tyson Marsh from the University of Washington Bothell. We talked about plans for teacher leadership academies that University of Washington Bothell will help support in terms of content. They're very interested in connecting with us around those topics, and I'm looking forward to being able to share information about how we might do those things in the fall. And then lastly, we were able to share a document with our principals yesterday that they were going to be sharing with teachers around examples for how we can create sustainable models for our distance learning and engage students in meaningful activities beyond the instructional time that they spend online with their teachers.
Whew, wow, there is a lot going on. And I love the fabulous, particularly of our principals and stepping forward. And there's just this is such an opportunity to create. And we simply have to look at it as a positive opportunity to create amidst all of the pandemic news. So thank you, Tracy. And I'm looking forward to our administrative team meeting tomorrow and the dialogue that will result from that. So Dugan, what about your neck of the woods? Any updates?
Well, one of the advantages to going last is your peers cover everything you've worked on. I guess the disadvantage is it appears that you're not doing anything. So no, nothing new to report that hasn't already been touched on.
Well, we can change up the order of reporting here very shortly.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I bet. So Chris Bigelow, where are we with some of our student supports? I know you offered some fabulous tips yesterday. Just thoughtful about your department and where we're headed.
No real updates. No real updates, Michelle. Just continuing to find resources. I do appreciate the community and teachers continue to send me resources. Though a lot of them have been very helpful. So I do appreciate that, but that's about it.
All right, thanks, Chris. I know it takes all of us to pull this off. So anybody have anything else for the good of the order they may have forgotten to mention earlier? Not you, Zeus.
Right. We talked yesterday about the book recommendations. They can be easily found, and we're continuing to add to each page because we had well over 100 already. But it's at nsd.org/Northshore Reads.
All right, thanks, Lisa. I think that's a fabulous recommendation. David Wellington, did you have something to add to that? You're muted, David.
How's that? We
Better.
actually crossed the 150 mark last night. I've got one that I would like to read if we have a moment. It's
Sure.
from Gracie from Wooden Elementary. She's a second grader, and she looked at a book called The Book of Hugs. She said, I like a book of hugs because it shows you different kinds of hugs. Some hugs are puppy hugs. Puppy hugs are very soft and wet. Another kind of hug is a fraidy cat hug. Fraidy cat hugs can make you feel safe. One more kind of hug is the porcupine hug. Porcupine hugs are done very carefully. There are also tree hugs. Some trees are easier to hug than others. Note, if you hug a pine tree for too long, you get stuck in it. There are many kinds of hugs. We can only hug ourselves at this time, or you can just show a big smile like a hug. I hope you read this book. I just thought that was delightful.
Wow, that is absolutely fabulous, David. Maybe let's all give ourselves a hug right now, and then maybe a virtual hug for everybody out there. It's one thing we can do. It doesn't cost a thing, right? And it's so meaningful. So thank you so much, David. And Gracie from Wooden, definitely a wildcat with a fabulous attitude this morning. So having said that, let's stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy this first day of April. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.